guys, welcome back. All right, so like usual, I've got challenge and advice cards, but we'll start underneath the tarot and oracle. And we're getting the Queen of Swords. Oh boy, starting off on a very challenging note. Okay, Queen of Swords, reverse, Three of Cups, the World, and then the Ten of Swords. Wow. Wow, this feels like, I haven't even looked at the rest of the cards, but this feels like the end of, possibly the end of a cycle with somebody who, I don't know why I'm hearing drinking problem. Is that possible? Queen of Swords? Somebody who likes to be on the booze? Like, I'm not sure. Yeah, something's coming to an end. Queen of Swords reversed is a very challenging, it's like karmic energy, distorted energy, not nice, like spiteful, vengeful, yeah, manipulative, psychologically abusive. Like, I don't know, the Queen of Swords in the reverse is definitely probably my least favorite distorted energy of the queens. Very difficult, because typically Queen of Swords energy is very intelligent, but this is like where they use their intellect as a weapon, and they like weaponize knowledge and use it against you or against somebody to get their way. I don't know why the Three of Cups is just giving me like drinking energy. See how they're all like, this can be a celebratory energy, but with these other cards, the World and then the Ten of Swords, which is like a painful end, it kind of feels like maybe you want to get away from a person like this. Let's continue and see what else we're getting here, because there is the Six of Swords under all that, which is about moving away from conflict onto because in the front it's like choppy waters and then it's like all calm, and so you could be trying to move away from a person like this. Let's see what's under here. Mary Magdalene reversed, which again for me is like the divine feminine embodiment, the Magdalene manuscript, you know, like she's reversed and it says, I am the bridge between heaven and earth. I am fully human and fully divine. And then we're getting the card about, oh wow, yeah, Kali's under there, the end of something. The mother of the universe, I release all that doesn't serve me. It's time to be the truth of who I am. And then there's a card about a woman who's very prosperous, and she actually like provided for her husband. And this card is in the reverse as well. Khadijah, the mother of believers. I am, spiritually and financially abundant. I provide heaven and earth for myself. And this is the bridge between heaven and earth. That's really interesting. There's a spiritual lesson here. I don't know. Have you been attached to somebody like financially who is very controlling and like this person perhaps? And the lesson, or I don't know, like sometimes like court cards can be other people. It can also be an aspect of you. So you have to sort of read these and read into this, like what makes sense, and maybe it's not your reading. But I'm really getting like there could have been a really distorted pattern of dependence in some way, and it could have been also financial. But like you could have attached yourself to a person who, or you're in the type of situation where it's very like sticky and there's like an entanglement. It doesn't feel like free. You don't feel free. You feel almost like deeply controlled to the point of like, what's the word? Like you feel like a prisoner almost. And part of it is because you have to like be able to feel confident that you can provide what you need for yourself, even if it's, you know, less than you've been used to. But it's like something is coming to a pretty brutal or like swift, kind of harsh ending, because that's the Ten of Swords. Especially with Kali, that's like do not fuck around. Like don't mess. It's a wrathful goddess, and wrathful energy and deities like this are when the lesson that needs to be integrated, like a softer method wouldn't work. And it feels like something's got to come to a completion, because that's with the World, and that's the end of a huge cycle. So if you're leaving a person that has like maybe a lot of money, but they have an addiction, or somehow you've been dependent or in some type of connection where you haven't been able to fully provide for yourself, but you've also been like sacrificing your freedom, sacrificing your self-respect, sacrificing something really important to you, to your own detriment. Let's keep going. Something's coming to an end. So with the challenge cards we're getting, wow, See, you guys, this is why I love oracle cards after I pick up the vibe, because I'm picking up this, like, what did I say, spiteful, angry, vengeful, something coming to an end. And we're getting the goddess of sacred rage. Again, this came up recently. And then the Two of Cups is the challenge, but it's upright. And it says, Sekhmet, the red lady, I am pure strength. I honor my anger by giving voice to it. So are you in a situation where you're feeling like abused, or you feel manipulated, you're feeling like you're under someone else's control, but like the challenge is that you want love, you want reciprocity, you want respect, and you deserve that. You deserve all of those things. Mutual love, admiration. But that means you have to have a level of self-respect where you're going to stand up for yourself, particularly if you're dealing with a person like this. And if you are, I feel for you, because it's really, the Queen of Swords reversed, like I said, this is like my least favorite energy to deal with, because it's really hard, because like I said, they tend to be very smart, and therefore, like I said, weaponize information. So if they know anything about you, like even a speck of dirt, bad blood, anything, they will throw it in your face. They will tell, like I said, I dealt with employers where I had like major karma to resolve around things like this, power dynamics and emotional manipulation and things, and it was a really hard period of my life. So I understand. If this is a partnership, I truly feel for you, because that's really hard, you know, when that's your intimate partner and you feel disrespected, dishonored, or treated like shit, particularly if somebody has an addiction. I don't know if that's what it is, but for some, like, you know, when I just hear things. So yeah, I feel like you need to stand up for yourself, because holding this in is not good for you. And that's why Kali is coming to help. This is like, if you call on this type of energy, I don't know, I pray, I'm Buddhist, you know, I do a lot of spiritual work. That is my practice and my whole business. But you have like divine support, you know, and you won't know until you call on them and you try and you really like start to build your faith. But it feels like something, like you're not meant to stay in this forever. If you feel like you're meant to end something like this and you need some support to do it, don't be afraid to say a little prayer. Say a little prayer for you. What's the advice? Okay, the advice is the Hermit, which again is a card about spiritual introspection, spiritual growth, inner growth. Looking within yourself to find the answers. It's coming with the goddess of devotion in the reverse. As I said, you've probably been devoted to somebody or something that has been harmful to you. And maybe like even like a bad influence or something that like magnified your trauma, or some pain points that you went into the relationship or into the situation with, and it's like really amplified that problem area, but at the same time it's like brought it into your awareness consciously, and that's the only way to heal the shadow stuff, is like seeing it clearly. So if you had like a problem with addiction, even if it was like more subtle, because addiction, we're all addicted to something, you guys, let's be so real, get out of denial. If it's not alcohol or drugs or sex or food or sugar or shopping, it's scrolling, it's mindlessly watching TV, it's something. Everybody's got a way to numb out. And those are all addictions and mental afflictions that cause suffering. So you've been devoted to something, but it hasn't been like the correct thing. That's why you don't have the love and the respect that you want. This is also can be like a card of devotion to one another, Two of Cups. So there's something here that you need to learn spiritually about devotion. And it says, I am a love that doesn't leave. When I commit to love, my soul evolves. So that's what you're meant to be reflecting on right now. And that's why he's like got his lantern. But this is only going to happen by your own introspection, going within yourself, because whatever you've manifested in your life, and if it is like a really dysfunctional or even like an abusive relationship, it's like you don't deserve to be abused. Like it's not like you did something to deserve that treatment. But some part of you was magnetized to that because, again, I'm sure it felt familiar. Maybe you had a parent that was like that with you, or you grew up in a really unhealthy environment where people treated each other like this. Something about it felt familiar. And so you guys were magnetized together for a reason, but that doesn't mean you're meant to stay there. And that doesn't mean that you need to put up with it, because you do not need to put up with that shit. In fact, your higher self is coming through saying, you need to stick up for yourself. And yet you do deserve to stick up for yourself, because this is unacceptable. But these people get away with it, unfortunately. And if a person like this, who's like abusive behind closed doors especially, or like they're really shitty to you when nobody's looking, but like front facing, they look like a savior, they look like a really nice, good person. Yeah, there's some distorted shit happening behind the scenes. That's why these cards are in the reverse. And Kali is coming in upright, which to me feels like, especially with the Ten of Swords upright, this is meant to come to an end. You are not meant to tolerate this indefinitely. And other people might not be aware of this, is what I'm hearing. So other people might have a totally different perception of what's going on. And you know what's going on behind closed doors, but it's like this is your lesson, is to stand up for yourself. Like, this person probably is very reminiscent of another person from your past or from your childhood. And this is your time to finally put an end to the cycle. Wow, this is really like, that's pretty deep. Let's just get one more on, each. Challenge, wow, the Tower reversed, and one more. The Seven of Swords, wow, this is like secretive. Okay, Magician upright. And then for the advice, we're getting Hanged Man reversed. Again, another spiritual realization card. Wow, Queen of Wands, okay, that's positive. Page of Pentacles reversed, Three of Swords reversed, Knight of Cups. Oh, and then the counterpart to her, King of Wands. You're supposed to be in like a much more passionate, healthy, creative type of relationship, I feel, or situation. But there's something going on here where it's like you've been avoiding the fallout of standing up for yourself, because you know that like as soon as you stand up for yourself, something's going to come crashing down. That's why this is still reversed. Some situation or a relationship or whatever it is, it's going to come tumbling down. So you might be, the challenge could be that you need to strategize, but you might also be like acting very weird right now, sneaky, creeping, like keeping secrets, holding your cards close to your chest. Like there's something going on that's like very secretive, it's feeling, or you're trying to hide this behavior from the people in your life. Maybe you don't want other people to know. Maybe you're embarrassed, or you just don't know how to deal with it yet. But you're more powerful than you think. So again, it's like it feels like ending a cycle of abuse, I'm not gonna lie. And like I said, that's very heavy. So I'm sending love to whoever is going through this. That's tough. But again, you're not meant to put up with that type of behavior. Like, fuck that. Fuck that shit. So for the advice, is there a person in your life that's inspiring to you, or that you care about, or that cares about you? Like, who is this Queen of Wands? Because she's upright. This can be fire energy, Sagittarius, Aries, Leo, or it could just be a woman who's very like confident and radiant and embodied sensually and creative and like all the kind of qualities that you would want in a relationship. But there's some realization that you need to have. There's like you need to see things maybe from a different perspective. Maybe you feel like you don't feel good enough. Page of Pentacles can feel like you don't have enough to offer. But what's interesting is that after this grief card, this is old pain though. This is not new. I wonder if this is what you've been carrying because of this situation, whatever the hell this bullshit is. The Three of Swords in the reverse is not acute pain. It's like old grief that's still lingering. And then the Knight of Cups comes up right as like making an emotional offer, or, you know, a romantic offer. And it feels good, like it feels healthy to me. And then the King of Wands is upright, which is the match to the Queen of Wands. So I feel like you've got to love yourself enough to put an end to some shitty behavior. Somebody, whoever this Queen of Swords is to you, like I said, these readings, I don't know what's going to come out. Like whatever comes. So this is obviously for somebody out there. Whoever this represents to you, like this is shitty. Like I don't know. Like I said, this person is not acting right. And it's meant to come to an end. This behavior, putting up with this shit. And I say that really because it clarified it with the anger card and the Two of Cups as the challenge. I really keep hearing you feel extremely disrespected. But again, where is that coming from? Like at some core level, we only like end up in these situations when we have like a poor self-concept, and it's not your fault, whatever. Like some of us grow up and you don't get good role modeling. So you have to learn to love yourself as an adult, and you have to do this kind of work as a grown-up. You know, you have to like reparent yourself basically. But unfortunately, like once you manifest a relationship that's really unhealthy or a situation, like then you have to clean that up too. And that's going to mean things are going to change. But like I said, it feels like there is some like positive outcome coming, but it's like you need to work on your self-worth too, because you wouldn't put up with a behavior like this with a person that is this, I'm going to say toxic. I don't even like to use that word, but this is toxic. This is like abusive. You don't put up with that if you don't think you deserve it, but you don't deserve it. It's just like that belief was planted somewhere, and that's why trauma is tricky, and you really have to get support, because nobody deserves to be treated like shit. But you have to believe you deserve more. You have to really believe, and what keeps people stuck? Shame. Like low self-esteem. Shame is a huge one, especially for men, particularly if it's a man that's in a situation like this. Like, the shame can be so crippling. You don't want to speak up. You don't want to talk. You don't want to tell people what's going on. I can't tell you the amount of men that have come to me, you guys, that have been in situations that were abusive with a woman. And it's very taboo, and it's not talked about, and it happens all the time, and women get away with it all the time. I've talked to hundreds of people, you guys. I've been doing this for like 12 years, and I've gotten a lot of men that have confided in me. So I'm not saying that's what's happening here, but it could be. Because it's like two women energy, which is interesting. So yeah, let's get an oracle card here. This is, yeah, I'm sending you love and the courage to stand up for yourself, because you are not meant to stick around for this. This is trash. This is garbage, and you deserve better than this. Period. But you have to think you deserve better. Enki. Okay, we'll see what this card is about. Let's see. It's like an older man, and he's like kind of chilling, just like sitting in the forest on the forest floor. So let's see what this says as the overall message here. It says, your ego is not the enemy. However, left unchecked and unseen, it can infiltrate your mind's reasoning and decision making. Face your ego with love to gain insights and understanding about yourself. And it says, the ego is also what keeps you safe, you guys. It like alerts you to potential challenges. It's like keeping you from jumping off a ledge or something, right? It can keep you alive and thriving when you navigate, like the crazy world. However, if you don't face certain parts of your ego, it can turn into denial and repression. And it says, pretending something doesn't exist doesn't make it so. So like I said, if you've been trying to hide what's going on here, or you've been in a really bad relationship or bad situation where someone's treating you really poorly, and you've been trying to keep it under wraps because you're like, if I don't address it, it's like it's not happening, that's denial, right? And so it says, the ego repressed doesn't die. In fact, it festers and flourishes. This is where it becomes addictions. Oftentimes it turns into addiction of some kind. If not, it can turn into sickness, like illness physically. It can turn into emotional sickness, like depression. So it says at the end here, basically, you want to work on integrating the ego's positive aspects, but there's some shadow work that needs to be done here. And I do feel that really strongly. There's, again, why would you tolerate behavior like this and then try to hide it? Again, shame, right? Some part of you maybe thought you deserved to be treated this way. And then we're getting narcissists. Are you with a narcissist? That's not necessarily what this card means, but are you? Because this is that type of energy. Queen of Swords in the reverse. And I don't use that word lightly because it's a spectrum of behavior, but somebody that acts like this, again, two-faced, public facing different, behind the scenes kind of horrible, extremely manipulative, gaslights you, creates doubt, confusing. Sometimes they love bomb you, then they treat you like shit, then it's like intermittent reinforcement, and then it's just it's a mess. So, and those people have very fragile egos, which is why they're so controlling and obsessed with their public image. So Narcissus is saying, slather yourself with self-love to keep the opinion of others from hurting you. Constructive criticism won't feel like an attack when you allow your flaws to be seen in the light. And it says, didn't I say pride? No, maybe that was another reading. It says, pride has a rightful place in your life. However, a shadow side exists too. That goes along with the ego card. The thought of making self-love a priority can be intimidating because it can be correlated with narcissism, but these are very different things. Narcissism presents as grandiose self-importance, but can be derived from a lack of self-esteem, and self-love. Narcissism demands adoration and validation, overcompensating for a lack of inner confidence. One doesn't feel enough as is, so they draw in confirmation for showy importance. That's what I was saying about somebody being like super obsessed with how people perceive them, to the point where they'll like be two-faced, you know, and they'll be like one person behind closed doors, and they like have a whole public image that's fake. Self-love is bridging the gap and radically accepting yourself, including the most unlovable parts. And it says it's having confidence that doesn't seek out energy from others. When you have the self-love to ensure your needs and boundaries are met, you see beyond just yourself. Self-love is having pride. Narcissism is remaining prideful, the shadow side. And that can keep you from cultivating close connections and healthy connections. So accept yourself wholly and be assertive in who you are as is. Healthy self-love will become your solace. You create so much inner security that you no longer feel shaken when you receive constructive criticism or an extension of an offer for deep communication. Instead of feeling unsupported, victimized, and betrayed, you'll have an inner calm so you don't feel as unsafe from the actions of others. This is what I'm saying. I feel like maybe people there's something here definitely about self-love, but it could have been, you could have been in the shadow side of self-love, pride and arrogance, and self-righteousness and self-importance that's actually just a mask for extremely low self-esteem, right? And so you've got to, and so you might have ended up with a person just like that. And that's it, you guys. It's like I said in the beginning, you've got to love yourself enough to think you deserve to be treated better, but you also have to face your shadow. And that's why he's staring at himself in the water, but he was in love with his own reflection. But like the person in your life, if you're with a person who's treating you really poorly, or they're doing it quietly behind closed doors and no one knows about it, like again, I'm not saying that you deserve that. You don't. It's that we don't end up in these situations by accident. So there's some shadow stuff that you need to resolve completely so that this contract, this soul contract, will dissolve. It will start coming to an end. It will start unraveling. It will. That's just how it works, you guys. Everything is energy. So once you learn the lesson, you start falling out of resonance with people like this, and then the relationship starts to fall apart or some big thing happens. Again, you'll have like a breakdown. But I feel it will work out in your favor. But you really have to learn this lesson, because there's something here about pride and ego and arrogance and low self-confidence and, again, poor self-concept that has led to like a very shadowy relationship with very distorted behavior. And the only way out of this is to clean it up within yourself. And then, like I said, you will fall out of resonance with a person like this Queen of Swords reversed. It's only a game when two people are playing it. When one person drops the rope and you stop playing tug of war, or you stop resonating, it starts to fall apart. So that's the reading for today, you guys. Like I said, the ending looks very positive here if you're to follow through. But you're going to have to work through some shadow stuff here, and it's going to mean speaking. I think personally it just means the biggest step that you're going to have to take is to stand up for yourself and then deal with what comes after that. Because again, a person like this can really try to make your life hell. And but that doesn't mean that your life will be hell. Because I actually feel like things are going to get much better. But again, you don't end up in this by accident. So you've got to face your own self-righteousness, your own arrogance, your own pride, your own lack of self-esteem. And then you and a person like this will not be magnets to each other anymore. You just won't. You're literally going to fall out of resonance. And Kali is here, so call her in if you want. She doesn't mess around. All right, so I love you guys very much. I have a new membership coming. It's a secret. The name is not out yet. The waitlist page is up with some details and the vibe. It is by invitation only. It's going to be very curated and very cool. I'm very excited about it. So if you're interested, that's starting to open up mid-May. Get on the waitlist, and the link for that is below. And of course, if you want to work one-to-one, the links for that are below as well. Otherwise, I will see you guys in the next one. Sending you so much love.